Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the SHEP Alumni Spotlights. My name is Jenny Lee, and I did my SHEP internship in 2016 at LIFT DC. I'm excited to catch up with Arriana Nastoff today, a SHEP alumna who is a kindergarten lead teacher at Knowledge is Power program, Comienza Community Prep in LA. Thank you, Aria, for being here today.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here.
So to start off, I want to ask you about what drew you to become involved with the Shepherd program in the first place.
I think there's a lot of different reasons, and I think everyone would say that probably because it's a very complicated program where I feel like the people who are drawn to it have a purpose, right? So for me, when I was in high school, I did a lot of volunteering. I spent a lot of time at after school programs and working with the Latino community specifically because I had been learning Spanish in high school. I was told I was pretty good at it, and so I wanted to be able to apply it. And that was the time that I really truly fell in love with the Latino community. And it was also a time where just my volunteering experience gave me so much life. And so I knew that I wanted to be of service in my life. That was for me one of the most important things. So when I came to WNL, I was so excited to hear about the Shepherd program because there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it anywhere else. And whenever I say, my minor was poverty and human capability, it's a big question mark over people. But it's a proud point for me. And it's really shaped my life in bigger ways than anything else at WNL really did. And so that's what drew me there. I just knew I wanted to be of service. I knew that that was something that I was interested in. My mom growing up, she was impoverished. And so I just felt like I wanted to serve that community, and I wanted to increase opportunities and freedom for everyone to be able to choose their life path, with as few obstacles as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I also found the Shepherd program to be really compelling. It wasn't something I was actually really looking for when I started at WNL, but I'm really glad I found it because from just the pre-O trip on, I was like, this is something I want to be involved in.
So yeah, I hadn't done the pre-O trip, but I did. Okay. It was literally, I started Poverty 101, and then learning about the academics of all of that, I was like, this is fascinating. And so that was really what kind of stuck.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. So when you did your internship at Centro Latino, what surprised you the most about it? And did that surprise, was it a good surprise? And does it connect at all to your current position today as a kindergarten teacher?
Okay. So at Centro Latino, that was a really interesting summer because it was in Danville, Kentucky, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And like I had mentioned before, I had worked some with Latino populations before. So certain things weren't as surprising, you know what I mean? Like some of the trauma that the kids had expressed that they had gone through, trying to get to the United States in the first place. They all had very complicated stories for how young they were. And that didn't completely surprise me. It was something that I had been exposed to, but every time you hear that, it never gets less surprising, I guess. Every time you hear what a child has had to endure and the resilience that they have and how powerful children really are, I think that it surprises you in a good way. You're like, wow. But when I think at that time, the most surprising thing to me was, I'm sorry, I have cat hair in my eye. I think time, but with the most surprising thing was the woman who led or who was in charge basically of Centro Latino. It's a nonprofit, and it was just an immigrant resource center. And I didn't really know what I was getting into, but once I met her, she was so deeply ingrained in the community in so many different ways. She was 110% self-sacrificing. She laid everything down to do whatever she could for people. I was translating documents for medical expenses. I was presenting grants at different organizations that were going to give us grant money. I was driving and picking up kids every day. I was driving this van that I had no business driving. I'm pretty sure you probably needed a different license, just full of kids in the back. So it was surprising to me to see someone who had so fully dedicated all aspects of their life to helping people. She was the foster mom of certain people, you know, she was everyone's go-to. And that, to me, that's what I aspire to be as a teacher. And so that really stuck with me for a long time. She was a beautiful woman, and she did everything for everyone else. And, you know, there's obviously cons to that, but the impact that she had on everyone around her was so deep, and the love for her that ran through the community was so widespread that I truly admired her. She was a very surprising person to me. I was like, wow, I didn't know people like you existed, you know?
I love that. I love that your answer was about a person and not just an experience. It's very
I
cool.
still talk to her. Yeah, I still talk to her.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I think you have to be kind of a certain type of person like that to run a nonprofit, even when it's really hard. And it's great to hear that there are people like that, you know, out there and giving it their all. Although, as you say,
yeah, dirt poor, dirt poor, helping other people, you know, who are also struggling.
Yeah,
that's the sad
and
part.
there's, you know, like you said, there's some downsides to that, you know, with like not giving yourself like the attention to your health or anything else potentially.
Yeah.
But so you are a teacher, and I know that teaching for during the pandemic for many teachers has been a challenge. And so I wanted to know what your experience has been like, if there's any policies or anything that you would change to improve the situation, both for students and teachers, and just kind of if you have any advice for current students who are aspiring to make a difference to the education field, since I know you didn't always know throughout college that you wanted to be a teacher. So what would you say?
Yeah, I always really battled with the achieving side of me and the side of me that wanted to serve. And, you know, I think that achievement oriented piece of me always was competing with that. So I never had considered being a teacher because, you know, that's not a job where you're your own boss. It's not a job where you're making a lot of money. It's not a job that covers a lot of the things that my parents are pushing me toward my whole childhood, you know? So I was really surprised. And it was supposed to be, you know, Teach for America 2 years until I figured out what I really wanted to do. But I mean, how many days do you have? My experience teaching during the pandemic has been, surprising in a really good way. I think my kids, you know, when I was thinking about teaching 5-year-olds through the computer to read and to like very basic, this is the fundamental foundational stuff. You know, this is a year, to me, kindergarten is so important, and it's an ability, it gives kids an ability to start their educational path in a really strong place, right? And so that's the weight of it, and that's why you feel really nervous, I think. But the kids have done such an incredible job. I've been able to build really solid relationships through the computer, and they're just incredibly invested and motivated to learn. And you know, seeing the little spark behind a kid's eyes when they finally read a word, it's just a feeling that you never get to see in any other job, you know, and it's just that first click. And so I love it. I think I'm in a really lucky position where my school is well funded. KIPP has more money than a lot of schools do. So they were able to purchase one-to-one computers for every single one of our kids. They got hotspots for every single one of our kids. We did not let access to technology or access to internet be a reason that they didn't learn this year. And I feel, you know, when I hear about schools in other places and I hear other things that people in low-income communities are going through, I feel really grateful that that is not something that my students have had to go through. You know, they know I'm there for them in any other way. So I'm getting them new computers. I'm getting their chargers fixed. I'm doing all of these things so that they can engage and they can be there. So I think in terms of policy, just schools need to be funded way better. They needed to be funded not based on income taxes or property taxes, rather. In California, they're funded from property taxes. So naturally, the bigger houses, the more expensive areas, they have more property taxes to pull from than some of the areas like where I teach. So I think that's honestly a huge problem that needs to be solved to give everyone equal opportunity. And, you know, that's why I became a teacher. It was so aligned with what I had learned through the poverty program, through writing my capstone, all of these things that showed me that early childhood education is a place where you can have great impact on people's life trajectory. And so ending up in this kind of place, I felt like it was really fitting. And yeah, I'm really happy about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for making the time today to chat. I know that you have a lot of really excited 5-year-olds all day. So I do really appreciate that you would still have this much energy like at the end of your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to, like, I feel like I'm very much in the zone when I'm in front of Zoom. It's my kindergarten personality. Pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Comes out.
Absolutely. Well, I will be respectful of your time and let you go, but thank you again, and thank you all for watching this episode of the SHEP Alumni Spotlights. If you are an alum who would be interested in participating, please reach out to Danielle. Thank you, Aria.
Thanks so much.